In continuation with the explanation of the chapter Understanding Diversity, we finished off last explanation with Ladakh, the case study, and we came to know that it is in the mountains. What kind of people are there? What is their mode of earning? They rear cattle and they depend on meat and milk products. Pashmina is the wool which they get from a sheep, which is only found in Kashmir. Then they talk of Ladakh being a desert area, had been a travelers in settling ground in ancient times, had been a sea trade route, and Tibet being next to it was carrying textiles, spices, raw milk and carpet, etc. Then they talk of some traditional theatres and stories where they are telling you Losar is this celebration of a new year. Shri Shupla is the harvest festival. Then the biggest summer festival is Hemis Cheshu, and Kesar Saga is the epic, Tibetan national epic it is. And before we sum it up, there's a small little paragraph left. It is an interesting fact that many of the annual festivals of Ladakh take place in winter. Lamas dressed in colorful dresses and wearing masks perform here. Long horns, cymbals, music and other colorful musical performances attract people from far and near to see them. And the latest example of this colorful festival is the song from Jab We Met, if you remember, where they sing it in the lovely hills and the backdrop of this place called Ladakh. Now we move on to what does diversity add to our lives. Diversity enriches our lives. It adds color and spice to our existence. Imagine what life would have been without various kinds of animals, birds and flowers. We would not have so many delicious dishes, various fruits, vegetables, spices. We would not have had various kinds of music and dance forms. We Indians speak different languages, have various types of food, celebrate different festivals and wear several varieties of dresses. Without diversity, life would be boring and less enjoyable. If all people followed a single profession, human life would not exist. Imagine if all people were farmers. Who would have provided us with clothes, houses and medicine? Who would look after our health if there were no doctors? In the absence of barbers, who would have given us a haircut? Therefore, diversity is also essential. Now they are talking of diversity and it adds color to our life. Very simple. If all of your friends looked just the same, dressed just the same, though you have a uniform, so you dress in the same variety in the school. But then if you bring the same kind of a tiffin, if you come from same background, if you wear same kind of clothes every day, every now and then, and you opt up for the same profession, there would be no interest. Life would sound and appear very boring, very monotonous. So this is what they are telling, that yes, diversity to some extent, diversity means the difference. So differences among us at times are taken as positive, and these differences add color and spice to our life. They make the life more interesting. We learn from our friends. The friend sitting next to you must be having different things to share, which are not common in your family. And just the vice versa, even you must be having so much to share. Maybe you come from a different state and maybe you speak different language. And what fun it would be to learn from each other. So this diversity helps in learning and improving as well, adding color, no doubt. Next, the UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Social and Cultural Organization. Children, you are supposed to know the full form of this term UNESCO, and you should learn it also. Has played a crucial role in promoting cultural diversity concerns. UNESCO's Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity was recently adopted by 192 member states. It emphasizes that respect for cultural diversity and intellectual dialogue is best guarantee of lasting progress, peace and development. Now this is a very cute and nice paragraph telling us that even a international organization such as United Nations, educational and social cultural organization, has laid emphasis, which has been followed by 192 members of that particular organization. They believe it and they follow it, that yes, cultural diversity is a must, and each one of us respect the culture of the other and should have a intellectual dialogue about it. That means there should be verbal and vocal. Now, if I have Hindi as my mother tongue, I should not look down upon a Britisher who speaks English, and vice versa. A Britisher should not look down upon a Hindi speaking person. So the cultural diversities, in spite of differences, should be used as a method of lasting progress, peace and development. Now they talk of unity in diversity. The phrase unity in diversity was coined by our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in his book The Discovery of India. He emphasized that unity and integrity of India is inherent in its civilization from the very ancient times. There is a cultural unity and continuity since the Harappan civilization. He says Indian unity is not something imposed from the outside, but rather it was something deeper and within its fold. The widest tolerance of belief and custom was practiced, and every variety acknowledged and even encouraged. This is again a very interesting and very informative paragraph, where it begins with this phrase called unity in diversity. It was coined by our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and the name of the book in which he first mentioned it, The Discovery of India. Now here in this book he emphasized that India has been culturally very advanced from the ancient times, and India is the only country from Harappan civilization. It has seen variety, diversity in its essence from the very beginning. People have been a part of it. People have learned to coexist in spite of difference in language, custom, tradition, food, living habits. Yet India has stood as one with all the various diversities. This diversity has mingled and made India more beautiful. Now, did you know in this particular box, green box, is also very informative, and I would like that each one of you should know about it. It can come as one word answer also. The two famous books written by Jawaharlal Nehru are The Discovery of India, of which this is mentioned here also, and the other is The Glimpses of World History. This is also very interesting. If you get your hands on it, grab and read it. Next, during the freedom struggle, India from all walks of life joined hands to oppose the British rule. Citizens from all castes, religion and regions fought shoulder to shoulder under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi to win freedom from the foreign rule. Even women came out on the streets. So now this paragraph tells you very beautifully how, in spite of India's differences, from the very age-old times when the Britishers were ruling India, the first freedom struggle was initiated not by just one particular person or a particular caste or tribe, but it was a nationwide movement where everybody participated, irrespective whether he was a Hindu or a Muslim, whether he was a up community or a down low grade community, whether he was black or he was white, whether he was rich or he was poor. All stood shoulder to shoulder to fight against that common cause, the Britishers, who came and who were ruling India, and we were serving as servants, the colony of British. So India got its independence through this struggle of the combined efforts. And not to forget, the last line mentions that even women participated in this. So they are not just talking of caste, creed, religion, custom. They are talking of even women took active part. The time when women were not given the rights even, then too they stood for the cause to bring India freedom. This unity was first seen during the rebellion of 1857, which is rightly called the First War of National Independence. After the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar on 13th April 1919, the whole of India stood as one nation to condemn the British atrocity. On that day, a large but unarmed crowd had gathered in the Jallianwala Bagh to protest against the arrest of some popular leaders. General Dyer, the military commander of Amritsar, ordered his troops to open fire. Thousands were killed and wounded. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs and others fought unitedly against the British, sacrificed their lives. I lost the line. Their lives and won freedom. Songs and symbols that emerged during the freedom struggle are reminders of our respect for diversity. Thus, the freedom movement Thus, the freedom movement cemented Indian unity and integrity. Despite so many diversities, India is a shining example of unity in diversity. India is indeed like a garland containing flowers of various hues and colors. Now they talk of one very crucial incident which took place. And again, this paragraph is very informative and has number of one-word answers for you to score marks. Now they are talking of the first rebellion, first protest, first time when Indians got together to fight against the British, and that was the War of 1857, which is also known as the First War of National Independence. It was at this time that, if you have seen Mangal Pandey the movie, it is that, where they stood for a common cause to fight against the Britishers. Then came the other. Again, now this is again important, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Massacre means mass killing. People there, it was a place in Amritsar, and people on 13th April 1990, they had gathered there showing their protest, showing their anger, but in a very peaceful way. They were gathered with no weapons, nothing to fight, but they were just gathered. And seeing this, General Dyer, who was the commander at that time in Amritsar, he gave orders to his people, to his troop of soldiers, to open fire on the crowd. And thousands of people were killed. Very innocent lives were taken away. Many were wounded. There were tears all over. And at that time, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and whatever religion one was, they took up a common cause to fight and throw the Britishers away from here. Now again, in this green dabba here is of importance. Why? Because it is telling you about your national anthem, which was composed, that means it was written by Rabindranath Tagore. Please, this will be a one-word answer or a fill in the blank, which could get you 1 mark. The national song was composed by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. I hope you know the national anthem and the national song. They are written here. The national anthem is Jana Gana Man and the national song is Vande Mataram. This paragraph holds importance about the national anthem, where it says that it was written by Rabindranath Tagore and it was first adopted in the Constituent Assembly as the national anthem of India on 24th January 1950. Now this date is also very important, telling you when in the Constituent Assembly this song first time it was declared officially that this particular song Jana Gana Man by Rabindranath Tagore is going to be our national anthem ever since then. So the date was 24th January 1950. It was first sung on 27th December in 1911 at the Calcutta session of the Congress. So the first time when this song was sung after it was being declared as a national anthem, it was first sung by the people when they all gathered for the session of the Congress in Calcutta, and the date was 27 December 1911. And here is the national anthem. It's written in English, but if you read it, it's the Hindi written in English. With this, we come to an end of the chapter. And I hope you know your national anthem. So just please read it in your minds. Thank you.